Hi folks, it's Pastor David Grisham with God and Country Ministries, and I want to show you how simple it is to solve this whole gun control issue. Okay, I want to show you just how simple this is. It doesn't require some giant government bureaucracy. It doesn't require, a ton of federal money. It doesn't require a whole new government agency. It doesn't require the federal government getting involved except to pass one law. That's it, one law. And what law would that be? The law would be that if you want to buy one of these, if you want to buy a firearm, then you are going to have to present this, which is already federal law. If you want to buy a gun, you got to present your driver's license or your state-issued identification card. All 50 states have state-issued identification cards for people that don't drive, and they have driver's license for people that do. All you have to do is pass a federal law that says upon conviction in any state, that state is required to put a watermark, a non-changeable watermark on your driver's license that says you're ineligible to buy a firearm. That's it. That's all you got to do. Whether you're adjudicated mentally ill in that state, like you've got schizophrenia or some other mental illness that disqualifies you from buying a gun, if you've been convicted of a domestic violence charge, or if you've been convicted of a felony, basically that state would immediately make you surrender your driver's license upon conviction or upon adjudication of mental illness, or your state identification card, and then they would issue you one with a watermark on it preventing you from buying a firearm. Okay? So whenever you show up at a gun shop, boom, you show them your driver's license and they go, "Oh, buddy, sorry, can't sell you a gun. It's right here. I don't need to call the federal government and run a background check and wait and blah, blah, blah." It's instant. An instant background check. It's already on your driver's license or your state-issued identification card. You can't buy a gun. You know what else it allows you to do? It allows me as an individual who doesn't have access to this federal system to be able to check if I sell you a gun individually. I can say, "Let me see your ID." And they either produce an ID without this mark on it, and if I know that I'm okay, I can sell them a gun. They're not a convicted felon. The government doesn't have to be involved except to inform me on the driver's license or state identification that you are qualified or not. That's all I need to know. Are you okay to buy a gun? Bingo. You know what else this would prevent? Any state that requires a driver's license or state-issued ID to vote, bingo, convicted felons would no longer be allowed to vote, because you could check their identification at the polling place and go, "Look, you're a convicted felon. We cannot allow you to vote." Bingo. You see, this system would have so many more benefits rather than the system that we have. I think it would be more accurate. Also, you could eliminate the government agency with the ATF that's in charge of this and get the federal government out of your business as far as buying a gun, and reduce it down to the state level. Because a lot of states, you can appeal to the state to get your firearms qualification reinstated. In other words, if you had a conviction when you were 18, 19 years old and you've been conviction free, you haven't had any conviction of any crimes in the last 10, 15 years, some states will let you get your right to buy a firearm back, and they could remove this watermark off your driver's license, and bingo, you'd be allowed to buy a gun again. So I think this system has much more validity than the current system we have. I think it's a very simple, easy idea that every state can implement. It's very simple. Only thing to do is cost them a watermark. That's all. The state can check. And then if you move from one state to another, you have to surrender your driver's license from the previous state. And they look at it and go, "Oh, you got a watermark from Texas. You can't buy a gun. We're going to put a watermark on your current driver's license in this state, so you can't buy a gun." So it's a system that's already there in all 50 states. And it can be adapted to use for this. If you want common sense gun control, that's the kind of thing we need. We don't need the federal government involved in anymore. We don't need more federal legislation other than federal legislation to say that all the states will impose this type of gun control legislation on its own citizens. That's all we need. and we'll have a nationalized, standardized system for putting a watermark on your state ID or your driver's license, that if you present it and you got that watermark, you can't buy a gun. And of course, if you don't have an ID at all, you can't buy a gun. This is going to keep guns out of the hands of criminals and crazy people. And you don't have to worry about the federal government being involved. It's really, really simple. If you like this idea, please share this video. Please share it with all your friends. Please talk to your friends about it. And if you want to contribute to our ministry, please give to us at, it's a Cash App, $ for God and Country Dave. $ for God and Country Dave. I'm going to be putting this message out for this type of gun control out everywhere that I can, so people understand it's a common sense solution. God bless you all.